Taiwan explores mental health leave for civil servants. Protest against controversial bills outside Taiwan's legislature. Thai influencer injured in Taiwan road accident. Australia passes world's first social media ban for children under 16. 3 Americans released by China in prisoner swap. Canada Watchdog sues Google. Paris's Notre-Dame to reopen 5 years after fire. Harry Potter first edition book sells for £36,000.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Friday, November 29th, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan news, the Presidential Office's Healthy Taiwan Committee held its second meeting to discuss adding mental health leave for civil servants. President Lai Ching-te urged the creation of a reporting platform and anti-workplace bullying measures. Details like duration and pay fall under the Civil Service Department's purview. Over 2,000 protesters gathered outside Taiwan's legislature, demanding the KMT withdrawal bills targeting constitutional court functions and stricter recall thresholds. Activists urged lawmakers to prioritize the Student Guidance Act amendment instead. Thai influencer Juliet, with 46,000 IG followers, was hit by a scooter in New Taipei City, causing a fractured leg and other injuries. The accident, attributed to poor lighting and unfamiliarity with the area, disrupted her Taiwan trip. And in global news, Australian lawmakers on Thursday approved a landmark ban on social media for children under 16. The ban, aimed at addressing the impact of excessive social media use on children's physical and mental health, applies to platforms such as X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and Reddit, but excludes YouTube. The platforms, which bear sole responsibility for enforcement, have 1 year to determine how to implement the age restriction, the highest set by any country.
If platforms systematically fail to prevent children from creating accounts, they could face fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars. Senators debated the legislation late into the night on the final day of their parliamentary session, which Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's centre-left Labour government had set as the deadline for its passage. The bill, which also received substantial support from the opposition Liberal Party, was approved by the Australian House of Representatives on Wednesday in a vote of 102 to 13. Proponents of the ban have highlighted the harmful effects of body image depictions on girls and misogynistic content on boys. Its passage follows a series of suicides among Australian teenagers, whose families attributed the tragedies to online bullying.
A State Department spokesperson said Wednesday that 3 American citizens who had been detained for years in China have been released. They are Mark Sweden, Kai Lee, and John Luen. Lee, from Long Island, New York, was detained in 2016 and sentenced to 10 years in 2018 on espionage charges that his family says are baseless. Sweden, a Texas businessman, had been detained since 2012 and was sentenced to death with a reprieve in 2019 after being convicted on drug-related charges, which a United Nations working group said lacked any evidential basis.
Lee and Sweden were considered as wrongfully detained by the State Department. John Leung, an American in his 70s who also holds permanent residency in the Chinese territory of Hong Kong, was sentenced to life in prison last year after being found guilty of espionage by a court in eastern China. Their release was part of a prisoner swap for Xu Yanjun, an officer of China's Ministry of State Security, and Ji Chaochun, a Chinese national. Xu was arrested after an alleged attempt to steal technology from GE Aviation, an American aircraft engine supplier, while Ji was accused of spying for the Chinese government. According to a senior U.S. official, the 3 Americans released from China are safely in U.S. custody and on planes heading back to the United States.
Canada's Competition Bureau is suing Google for alleged anti-competitive conduct in online advertising. In a statement, the country's Antitrust Watchdog accused Google of illegally linking to advertising tools to maintain market dominance and using this position to distort ad auctions by favoring its own tools. The agency said it had filed an application with the Competition Tribunal, an independent court-like body that would require Google to sell two of its ad technology tools.
Dan Taylor, Vice President of Global Advertising, said, "Our advertising technology tools help websites and apps fund their content and enable businesses of all sizes to effectively reach new customers. This case centers on online web advertisements, the ads shown to users while visiting other websites. Digital ad inventory, the space website publishers make available for sale, is often bought and sold through automated auctions using digital platforms. These platforms are known as ad tech tools, while the entire set of tools used throughout the purchasing process is known as the ad tech stack." According to the Competition Bureau, an investigation found that Google had abused its dominant position as the biggest ad tech stack in Canada.
The world gets its first look inside a resplendent new Notre-Dame on Friday, as France's President Emmanuel Macron conducts a televised tour to mark the cathedral's imminent reopening. 5.5 years after the devastating fire of 2019, Notre-Dame has been rescued, renovated, and refurbished, offering visitors what promises to be a breathtaking visual treat. The president is kicking off a program of ceremonies that will culminate with an official entry into the cathedral on December 7th and the first Catholic Mass the next day.
The president will also give a speech of thanks to around 1,300 craftsmen and women gathered in the nave. Notre-Dame's revamped interior has been kept a closely guarded secret, with only a few images released over the years marking the progress of the renovation work. On the evening of April 15, 2019, viewers around the world watched in aghast as live pictures were broadcast of orange flames spreading along the roof of the cathedral, and then, at the peak of the conflagration, the 19th-century spire crashing to the ground. Among the theories for the cause of the fire are a cigarette left by a workman or an electrical fault. Some 600 firefighters battled the flames for 15 hours. In the end, the structure was saved.
A rare first edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has sold for £36,000, having originally been purchased for just £10 in 1997. Christine McLeod, who bought the book for her son Adam, says she had no idea it would be worth thousands of pounds 30 years later. On Wednesday, the first edition was sold at rare book auctions, with the buyer paying a total of £45,000, including a buyer's premium. Adam felt it was the right time to sell the book so others could appreciate it.
According to Hanson's auctioneers, the book is one of only 500 hardback copies published in the first-ever Potter book print run in 1997. It had been valued between £30,000 and £50,000. Adam McCulloch said the copy had been left in a cupboard under the stairs of his family's former house in Chesterfield, much like Harry Potter in the book and film series. The family only learned of its potential value during the lockdown in 2020, after seeing stories about first editions. He said, "Once we got it verified, it was a bit of a pinch-yourself moment." Speaking about the moment Ms. McCulloch bought the book in 1997, she said, "We went in the bookshop, bought it for £10.
The answer for yesterday was C, surveillance. The police kept the area under constant surveillance to prevent crime. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Paris's Notre-Dame to reopen 5 years after fire. Number 1, imminent. 即将发生的，逼近的。The dark clouds indicate that a storm is imminent. Number 2, culminate. 达到顶点，达到高潮，通常与介系词 in 搭配。The negotiations culminated in a historic peace agreement. Number 3, renovate. 翻新，整修。They decided to renovate their old house instead of moving. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced next week. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.